In an age of live service games, where most of them nowadays are trying to outlive your grandparents,
Jesus Christ is my name.
It's pretty common to see these types of games developed by a hive mind of suits, looking to tick boxes and raise capital by any means necessary. The more I see these passionless games, the more it makes me long for those times where these same publishers were willing to take risks and greenlight a game that would be guided by a single creative vision and backed by a small group of trustworthy developers who believed in that person's vision. Sometimes, when that vision was actually made into reality and resonated with gamers, the lead game designer would put their name on the box to ensure everyone knew it was this guy who came up with it. Ha ha, fuck you. As pretentious as it sounds, it's really no different than when Quentin Tarantino puts his name on the Pulp Fiction cover. And in most cases, it works as a pretty decent marketing gimmick. We've seen it in action recently with Kojima's Death Stranding, where the biggest thing people were excited about with this game was that Kojima's name was on it. An older example of this would be with Sid Meier, who was so confident in his skills, he put his name before the title of the game, and it stuck. His name became associated with quality strategy games and caused many people to try out his other lesser-known projects just because his name was on it. Even now with Civilization 6, he didn't really contribute towards the development in any meaningful way, yet his name is still right there. Sid Meier has essentially become as iconic as the franchise itself, and taking his name out, I don't know, it'd be weird. Speaking of weird, Death Stranding was pretty polarizing to many, but at least it was unique. And that is the main theme you will see with these game developers I talk about. Oh, that, and sometimes their vision is just not good. But that's what happens when you take risks. Not all of them are gonna be home runs. For instance, the dreaded Go Anywhere, Do Anything game. This was Peter Molyneux's pitch for his Fable series. Now, Peter's name has kind of been dragged through the mud due to his lies and what Fable would feature. And he is a prime example of what happens when you have a guy whose sole purpose is to just think about things rather than do. Another example of false promises is with Will Wright. This man could do no wrong during the 90s and early 2000s, creating hit after hit. And once Will announced his newest game would be the ultimate simulation, people hopped onto that hype train, leaving everything behind. Unfortunately, many people were disappointed by Spore, an incredibly streamlined and dumbed down version of what was advertised. And hey, look, I get it. But when this game came out, I was a little dumbass kid who still ate crayons. I thought this game was the shit. Going back to the 90s, you have another legend who attempted to use his name for fame and made a game that did not reach critical acclaim. But instead of a disappointment, it was just a dumpster fire. Mr. John Romero, the second half of the legendary duo who pioneered 3D first-person shooters in the 90s. After leaving ID Software, Romero attempted to make everyone his bitch with a game called Daikatana. Unfortunately, this game was so shitty, it had quite the opposite effect. Okay, enough of these old people with old people problems. What about some modern day designers who actually make good games? I think From Software's Hidetaka Miyazaki probably fits this mold. He can't really do anything wrong in the eyes of gamers. Like, dude, you remember how hyped up Elden Ring was? And then it actually delivers? Yeah, this guy can do whatever the fuck he wants. Run for president, I'll vote for you. I would also put Ken Levine in this category as well. He's the mind behind some of the most influential immersive sims ever made. And I really believe anything he touches will turn out great. Another person that comes to mind is Tom Clancy. I mean, this man is out here making game after game. Now, not all of them are bangers, but you gotta admire his commitment, because he has been dead for 10 years and he's still making games. Now, all you indie devs have no excuse. Speaking of indie devs, what about the indie developers who reach this status? They don't have a quality team to back them up, or usually a team at all. So no one is there to question their vision. Now, that can be a double-edged sword because you can be your greatest critic and also overlook so many things. So what designers overcame this barrier and despite all odds created games that rivaled AAA releases? I think the first one that comes to mind, for me at least, is Chris Sawyer. When being an indie developer was not cool, Sawyer made Roller Coaster Tycoon in the 90s all by himself. And he made it so well that this game could run on a calculator. He instantly became an icon, and personally, I have sunk so many hours into this damn game that I wish he still continued to create games. Lucas Pope is one of my favorite creators right now. He has only made 3 games, and his 3rd game was released on the Playdate. Yeah, if you didn't know what that was until now, I don't blame you. But he can seriously create some of the most thought-provoking games out there. I've recently been going through Return of the Obra Dinn, and it's really unlike any other game I've played. I think Notch is another relatively small indie dev that needs mention. He's only made 1 game so far, but I mean, it was okay, so I'm willing to check out what he does next. Suda51. I've never played his games, but I've heard Yahtzee talk about them, and these things gotta be insane if it leaves Yahtzee, the king of yapping, speechless. Toby Fox made an indie game. Not sure how many people are anticipating his next game, but I'll at least check it out. Now here are some of my personal favorites. Designers who could do no wrong in my eyes. Tim Schafer has such an iconic sense of humor and style that I just can't help but be drawn to. Finally, Daniel Varva, the creator of the original Mafia 1 and 2, and now creating the Kingdom Come Deliverance series. The first one is one of my favorite games ever. Like, I'm actually shaking waiting for KCD 2 to come out. And that's it. Now, I know I missed quite a few designers, and I'm sure I'm going to hear about it in the comments. However, there aren't really many designers out there right now willing to put their name right on the cover, like many film directors do. And I'm at a loss for why. Because I would much rather live in a world where games have established and unique individuals at the... Oh my god, my cat's here. I would much rather live in a world where games have established and unique individuals at the helm making quality products and aren't afraid to put their name right on the cover, rather than a corporation who shoves as many loot boxes and microtransactions right down our throats. I realized why now. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all. Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bills, y'all.